I'm Vinnie Politan. The subject of my investigation is missing mother of five, Crystal Rogers. It's a family tragedy on many levels. 5 children without a mom, and a father who was murdered looking for his missing daughter. Here's the story. It was July 3rd, 2015. Crystal Rogers, a 35-year-old mother of 5 children from Bardstown, Kentucky, was at her boyfriend's family farm. Brooks Houck and Crystal had been together for over a year and shared a child, Crystal's youngest. But after that, no one has seen Crystal. She vanished. This was devastating for Crystal's parents, and her dad, Tommy Ballard, made it his mission to find his missing daughter. He searched for her every day for 16 months until someone ended his search with a gunshot to his chest. 3 men, including Brooks Houck, have been arrested for Crystal's murder, despite the fact that Crystal has still never been found. Will investigators be able to find her before the trial begins? Brooks Houck spoke with investigators and had an interview. It was recorded on video. It was a bizarre interview, and I think the type of interview that prosecutors may attempt to use against him. There was one significant moment, and this is July 8th of 2015. So it's been several days since Crystal Rogers has not been seen, and Brooks Houck is speaking with a detective. And there is a question about a phone call that was received on July 4th at 12:07 a.m. Kind of a suspicious time in the time frame when Crystal Rogers is vanishing or is no longer seen. So let's take a look and a listen to this part of the police interview. Very, very significant.
Okay, if we get that number in?
Yeah, go right ahead. Do what you gotta do.
Looks like you got a couple messages. I don't know how to do that. I've got an Apple phone. So just,
You just want to put the number in, right?
or check contacts or however you do it to see who it is, yeah. Check this one.
492-1390. Just call it. Oh, Steve Lawson.
Okay, who is Steve Lawson?
He's somebody works for me.
I just want to tell you I'm sorry about everything that's going on in your life, brother, and I got you in my prayers.
I said it is a very difficult and trying time, but I appreciate you you saying that. But hey, I need your help while I got you on the phone here. Do you remember the other night you called me really late, and I forgot what you asked me. Can you? I guess we wasn't on the phone. I might have been tired. I know it was pretty late at night. Can you remember what you asked me or what you were after? I can't remember.
Yes, sir, I can. I called to ask you for them numbers for a house.
Oh, for a rental house.
Yes, sir,
And
I did.
and what did I forgot? What did I tell you?
You told me that you would call, what's her name, Katie or whatever, she handles all that.
Crystal.
Crystal, okay, I apologize.
Yeah.
And, you said she handles all that, and that you would get back with me on it.
All right. Thank you so much, Neil.
Hey, if there's anything I can do, you give me a call.
Thank you. You have a good night now.
Yes, sir. God bless you.
It's bizarre, right? And every time I watch and listen to Brooks Houck, I think of like a bad reality show, right? A lot of reality shows are sort of scripted and there's like some bad acting. I just get that vibe. Now, that may just be the way he is. I don't know him, but that's the vibe I get from watching him in these interviews. Now, the man that he called, right? So there's this call. I don't even know who it is. Let's just call it. So he calls it, and it's a guy that works for him, Stephen Lawson. So then Stephen Lawson is brought in 8 years later and interviewed, and here's what he says 8 years later about that 12:07 a.m. phone call.
There's some more right around there. You call Brooks. I love Brooks. And I don't know how I got the car. I got that time.
Okay, so now the story's changing a little bit. If I made the call, it would have been about moving the car. So that brings us to the first question in our investigation, and it's about this phone call between these two. What was the purpose of the phone call? Because you uncover the purpose of the phone call, are you uncovering the truth of what was going on and what was happening and what happened to Crystal? Joining me to help us through all this, retired FBI special agent, he's an expert in criminal investigations, Bobby Chacon, and former anchor at Scripps News Lexington. She's followed this case closely, Nancy Cox, with us. Great both here. There's one other piece I want to put up because there's been a development now. We've gotten information from the grand jury testimony of Stephen Lawson. Here's what he said to the grand jury. When he testified before the Nelson County Grand Jury on June 14, 2023, Stephen Lawson's new explanation for his 12:07 a.m. phone call to Brooks was that he called to tell Brooks that the job of moving Crystal Rogers' car was done. They say, this is from defense court documents, the government will also seek to introduce expert testimony that Steve Lawson left Bardstown after this phone call and traveled east in the direction of where Crystal Rogers' car was found on July 5th, 2015. So in uncovering all of this, Nancy, this seems to be the key, right? It's tying Lawson, it's a connection to Crystal's car, and none of it really makes sense for the original story of Brooks Houck.
It doesn't. And remember, the car was found on the Bluegrass Parkway that connects Bardstown and the city of Lexington with a flat tire. It was still running. Crystal's phone, purse, car keys, everything was still there. So what would be the significance after midnight to call Brooks and say, hey, I moved the car? And actually, he said, I got the job done. That sounds to me a little more like doing something more than just moving a car. So to me, a call like that in the middle of the night and later saying he didn't even remember it, it just doesn't pass the smell test.
Bobby Chacon, this has been a difficult case for prosecutors to get to the truth and get it to the point of where they believe they can prove it beyond a reasonable doubt because they still haven't found her. What are your thoughts about Brooks Houck and what he's saying in that interview and Stephen Lawson in all of this?
Well, I think what you hit on earlier, Vinny, was this vibe you're getting is a reality show type vibe. It does come off as this phone call to Lawson from Brooks in police presence is rehearsed. There's a lot of formality to it. There's a lot of, I think, talking the way those guys would not normally talk. He's telling him how sorry he is for what's going on in his life right now. I think there's a lot of things that two guys like that would not necessarily emote ordinarily to each other, especially a phone call at that hour of night. Now, the change in the phone call is significant, the change in the purpose of the phone call, from getting the numbers for the house to moving the car is significant because they realized that it didn't match up. Their first story about, oh, this was to get numbers on a rental property because, because Brooks was going to give them information to Lawson. Well, he admitted in the call that Crystal's the one that manages that property for him. Crystal, apparently, according to him, was sitting next to him in the truck. So why would he have to say, oh, I'll call you back with those numbers, or I'll Crystal call you back with the numbers? She's sitting right next to him in the truck. So that was their big mistake. So now they have to change that. They have to move away from that because they're caught in a lie. So the new lie to get away from that is, oh, it was about the car and about moving the car. So you're seeing the evolution of these guys getting caught in a lie and then changing their story.
All right, Nancy, I've got more of Stephen Lawson for you. September 12th, 2023, from his police interview. This is where he appears to be directly implicating Brooks Houck as wanting to see Crystal dead.
I want to see her. I would like to see her dead. That's the way it brings. I would like to see her dead. I think it's exactly what it brings. You'd like to see her go. He's go, go. What do you say? And I'm pretty sure he knows my life he done that job. To me, with that, and that's the way I interpret it, just like you just said, that he wants her. Then whatever you want to say there.
So Nancy, in trying to figure out the significance of this call, the purpose of this call, you're trying to understand what everyone did. And it seems the information provided by Stephen Lawson helps against Brooks Houck, but he's minimizing his own involvement in all of this as much as he can. So how do you see all of this at this point and the way that it may manifest itself in court?
Stephen Lawson has been incredibly inconsistent throughout this entire thing. At first, police were willing to talk to him, or the FBI, to talk to him about possible immunity, him to be honest. And then, so he reveals a little bit, and then a little bit more, and a little bit more, because he knows they're not quite buying it, in my eyes. But like you said, he has to minimize his role in it. So it seems like at every step, at every question that probes a little deeper, he's willing to give up some things, but he's remembering, oh, I have to keep my name clean. I have to keep my hands clean in this. And it just doesn't work. And I think if he ends up testifying in his own trial or testifying at Brooks Houck's trial, those inconsistencies are definitely going to come out on the stand. He doesn't handle himself very well when trying to go back and forth between what he said and what he meant to say and what he wished he'd said and now what he's saying.
Yeah, Bobby, when you're speaking with someone who is involved and you're not sure how involved they are, how do you get to the truth for your own sake, to figure out, what role did this guy play and how should he be treated by law enforcement and prosecutors?
Well, you go into an interview like that with a great knowledge of all the physical evidence, right? All the forensics at the scene, the forensics in her car, all of the science stuff that you know is fact. So you have a good handle on all of that. And then you review all his past stories, all his past interviews, maybe his past grand jury testimony, if there is any, and everything you know about him. And then you kind of lead him down a road and let him get down that road a certain distance before you pull the rug out from under him, tell him you're lying, that that he's lying, and then see how he changes his story. And they won't ever admit in the beginning that they're lying. It's a process. And so it's sometimes a frustrating process for us because they give an inch and then you show them what your evidence is, and then he goes only up to that point. He only admits up to that point. And then you give him another inch and he only goes up to that point. And so there's this game that they play, and it gets very frustrating after a while. Why don't you tell me the whole story? We've gone 5 steps and you didn't admit to any of those 5 steps until I told you where I was on the next step. And so I know we're 8 steps ahead, and you're not going to admit that. So it's really a tough, long process, but the best thing to do is go in with a full handle on your physical evidence and a full handle on what they've said in the past.
All right, we've got a lot more to get to. Coming up next, where is Crystal Rogers?
I've never, from the minute my daughter went missing, thought that she was still alive.
Weeknights on Court TV.
I'm Vinnie Politan. Welcome to Closing Arguments. We have a big hour ahead here.
Your deplorable actions are unforgivable.
The community still doesn't know how this Boston police officer died.
He can't prove one element of his case.
It was a dramatic day, a dramatic moment inside the courtroom.
What's happening here?
It's unreal. Let me show you exactly what happened.
Closing Arguments with Vinnie Politan. Weeknights at 8, 7 Central. Only on Court TV.
I've never, from the minute my daughter went missing, thought that she was still alive. My husband told me one time, he said, Sherry, maybe they just took her. I said, well, what do you think they're going to do? Give her back?
That's Sherry Ballard, Crystal Rogers' mother. She lost her daughter, and she also lost her husband, Tommy, who was shot and killed after searching for his daughter for 16 months. Can't forget that fact. So let me put this up. This is September 4th, 2024, WDRB reporting that the FBI was out searching 2 properties that were once owned by Brooks Houck's family. Federal agents began searching 2 Nelson County properties in connection to the disappearance. The properties were once owned by family members of Brooks Houck, who was charged in Rogers' murder. The FBI conducting the search on Whitesides Road, a rural residential road between Fairfield and Highgrove in Nelson County. The FBI would not provide the exact location of the search, but it's being conducted on properties once owned by Anna Whitesides, Houck's grandmother, and Nick Houck, his brother, as recently as 2018. Both properties were in the Houck family dating back to 1900, but have since been sold off. And we've got some video of these searches that were done. And each time she was not found, some evidence may have been recovered, but all of this brings us to the next question in our investigation. And this was the question that really started everything. Where is Crystal Rogers? Where is she? What happened? Still with me, Nancy Cox, who's been covering this story very closely, and joining me, private investigator, founder of Victims News Online, Erica Morse. Great to see you. Nancy, what can you tell us about these properties that have been searched? How expansive is it? And have they searched anywhere outside of Houck's properties?
They searched a subdivision where Brooks had been constructing some homes right around the time that Crystal went missing. When this happened, I thought this might really be it. They dug up these concrete driveways and concrete slabs. So you were thinking maybe they're really onto something. But as far as we know, nothing directly tying back to Crystal was ever found. You got to remember, they searched Brooks' home, storage units, his brother Nick's home, his grandmother's property, a farm, that subdivision I mentioned. And in each time they carried out so much evidence. They called it mountains of evidence, thousands of documents, many hours of police interviews, all that has stacked up for all this evidence. But the one thing they truly need is to answer that question: where is Crystal? It could clear Brooks Houck if she were found somewhere else, or it could be the final nail in the coffin, so to speak, if any of her remains were found on one of those properties.
Erica Morse, what are your thoughts about this question that we've been talking about for years now? Where is Crystal Rogers?
This case reminds me so much of the Billy Smolinski case out of Waterbury, Connecticut, who actually Billy would be 51 tomorrow. They have spent years tearing up subdivisions because the people involved were in the contracting business. And the vast amount of collection of evidence is so overwhelming that it can take years to sift through that. I recall last June, they were searching one area where they were very confident had a connection to her. And then they were back in September to another location, still in Nelson County, still in Cox's Creek, doing a different search. So when you have somebody like Stephen Lawson, as Nancy said in the last segment, dropping these little breadcrumbs, so to speak, and bringing little tidbits in with every new conversation, it's infuriating because it feels like a cat and mouse game. And I'm so glad that he's been charged, because we don't talk enough about the resources that are being wasted in searches such as this.
So, Nancy, we're seeing some of the video, and it appears to be extremely rural. How would you describe this area? Are there bodies of water in the area as well? How would you describe this part of the country?
It's very much farmland. It's not a densely populated county by any means. There could be ponds or small lakes possibly there, no major body of water. There are creeks that are tributaries into larger bodies of water. but you just get this feeling that you really are looking for that needle in a haystack, and it will be very difficult. It's been 8.5 years now. If they haven't found her by now, and the strategic way they've searched these properties, you just have to wonder if they ever will.
You know, Erica, I guess the key is, does more than one person know? If one person knows, it's extremely challenging, but if there's more than one, there's a much greater opportunity for someone to speak.
Stephen Lawson's September 2023 interview is to be believed. Then what he described as witnessing Brooks and Joseph around a large hole with a lot of wood that was being stacked on top of one another with a large fire. That is an extremely disturbing story in terms of how Crystal may be found, where Crystal may be found. And I think that it could be a contributing factor in why multiple locations are being checked. As you pointed out, Vinnie, you know, the only way to keep a crime like this to yourself is to be the only person involved. So the fact that we have 3, one of them is already spilled, and his trial is now separated from the other 2, I think there's some leverage there. And I think also they're still looking for that leverage with Tommy.
Absolutely. All right, Nancy and Erica are going to stay with us. Up next, what role will the Houck family play in this trial? I'm Vinnie Politan. We continue our investigation of missing mother of 5, Crystal Rogers. Investigators have charged 3 men in connection to her murder, but only one is directly connected to Crystal, the father of her youngest child. Here's the story. Crystal Rogers was a mom. That was job number 1 for her and her most important responsibility. She had 5 children. The father of the youngest is a man named Brooks Houck. In July of 2015, Crystal disappeared. Those who knew and loved her knew she would never run away from her children, so foul play was suspected from the beginning. During the search, her abandoned car was recovered. Investigators searched many times in many places for Crystal, but could never locate her. But they do believe they know what happened to her. She was murdered by Brooks Houck with the help of 2 other men. Now all 3 are getting ready for trial as the search for Crystal continues. The search continues. She has not been found. She has not been found, but Brooks Houck has been charged in the case. Now, what's interesting about Brooks Houck is that he has a family, including a brother, Nick, who was a local police officer. Now, let's get to July 8th, 2015. Brooks Houck is in the interview room with a detective and talking to him, and then there's a phone call. And you're going to see and hear it because the camera continues to roll. The detective stays in the room, and Brooks Houck is speaking with his brother Nick, at the time, the local police officer. There's a lot to this as you watch and listen to it, but I'll say what I say every time I've seen it. It just reminds me of reality television. And when I say reality television, I mean bad acting, right? They tell people what they want them to do, and then they do it. And that's the vibe I get. You may get a different vibe. That may just be the way Brooks Houck is. But I'll let you decide. Take a look.
We're still getting video from different places, you know, that along that route.
Can I get this?
Sure.
You hello? No. I'm up here. I know that you didn't know I'm up here in this interview with The detective, Detective Snow. I've been up here a good little while. I'm filling out this this statement here and everything. Are you telling me that's what I need to do? I know that. But the way that I look at it is, I'm innocent. I ain't done nothing wrong. Well, you know, I know you told me innocent people got jammed up, but if you're telling me to leave, I'll get up and leave. If you want me to. I know I'm going through a lot, but I'm trying to get this guy to help me. I don't think she's ran off with some other guy. I don't believe that. You can't make me think that. No. Yeah, so do I. I'll do exactly what you're telling me to do right now. You want me to get up and leave? Man, I don't think these guys. I don't think these people are probably vindictive just to skin me for no reason. Man, this is not their family. This is not. All right, thank you. He thinks y'all little is what he thinks.
I don't know who he is.
Nick, my brother. He just, no, I know that, but I'm not. He just said just to keep sitting up here, to give a statement, do an interview, whatever I got to do it. But he said, darn, just to keep letting them just beat you to death over this right here. Just ask what you got to ask and let you know.
And you tell me.
You see what I mean, he knows more about this than I do.
So you think I should do it now? I should ask the question now. Okay. That was my brother. Next question in this investigation. What role will the Houck family play in this trial? My goodness, his brother's calling him in the middle of his police interview. They've been searching the family properties everywhere. So what role will the Houck family play in this trial? Joining me, former anchor at Scripps News Lexington. She has followed this case extremely closely. Nancy Cox is with us, and private investigator, founder of Victim News Online, who's also been covering all the developments here. Erica Morse is with us. Okay, Nancy, let's first talk about brother Nick. He was a police officer when that phone call was made, wasn't he?
He was, and I just have to say the cadence that Brooks Houck was using. I'm sitting here writing a statement. Nobody talks normally that way. But yes, Nick was a police officer. He was later fired, saying he was not cooperate with the investigation, saying that he had failed a lie detector test, including one question, where is Crystal now? The feds say that he failed that question, and the test showed he was lying. So all this piled up against him. He was let go, and lo and behold, as these charges were brought against Brooks and the other two men, the FBI revealed that they had purchased a gun, a rifle that they believe is the murder weapon, the weapon that killed Crystal's father, Tommy Ballard, that brother Nick had sold this under a fake name. So you have to believe there's pressure on Nick. There's pressure on other members of the family. No charges have come against Nick at this point, but you know he's got to feel that sword dangling over his head. So will he cooperate, or will he be charged? I think the brother and even some other relatives will play a big part in this because police are putting pressure on all of them.
Absolutely. This is from some court documents, the Commonwealth attorney subpoenaed 5 Houck family members to testify before the Nelson County grand jury. The Commonwealth has seized evidence which indicates that these Houck family members secretly recorded their grand jury testimony. The special prosecutor has proffered a recording supposedly taken by Brooks' sister, Rhonda McElvoy. On that recording, there's a conversation between a male and a female. While the female is waiting to testify, she expresses concerns as to whether the device would start beeping. The male reassures her by stating it's got brand new batteries in it. The concerned female later states, "You're keeping it. Keep it out here." The male responds, "No, we need to hear it." The Commonwealth contends that the male voice on the recording is Brooks. Wow, Erica, I have never seen a situation where people have gone in to testify in front of the grand jury and recorded it. And here they believe that it's now the defendant who is having his family members record the grand jury testimony.
I think we have a lot of different things going on here, Vinny. First of all, I think this family is trying to get their story straight. That to me is just issue number one. I think that everybody is trying to make sure that their timelines match up, that their alibis match up, that any tertiary information, things that happened after the fact, all line up accordingly as much as they can. Because we have not one member of this family under major scrutiny, but we have 2. We have not one death here, we have 2. Now, what I can't wait to see is what happens with Stephen Lawson's trial, because now that they just got this extension, this delay from February to May, to me, that really puts them under the wire for a deal. And I think the prosecutors are going to be pressuring Stephen Lawson very heavily over the next 3 months to come clean, to strike a deal, and to potentially testify the very following month in June against his own son and Brooks, which could then open the floodgates for charges against Nick.
Now, WLEX reporter was questioning Mama Houck, Rosemary, as she left court once. Let's take a look at that.
Are your sons involved in the murder of Tommy Ballard or Crystal? Do you have anything at all to say? Are you sorry for anything?
Okay, Nancy, how would you describe the reputation of the Houck family before all of this and after all of this? What have people in the community said about the Houcks?
I think Sherry Ballard's statement that you played earlier says everything you need to know about Brooks Houck's reputation. She said, you played it right here a little bit ago, she said that from day one, she knew her daughter was dead. That her husband had even tried to reason with her and say, give her some hope, say maybe she's alive somewhere. And Sherry says she knew she was dead. That, to me, says a lot about the character of Brooks Houck. Another thing, one of the searchers at one of Brooks' homes, he went outside, all the TV cameras are around, everyone wanting to know what the FBI is finding or looking for, and he gets on his lawnmower very confidently, very smug, and just goes about mowing his lawn like he didn't have a care in the world. That sums up Brooks Houck to me and what people in the community have said. They're a very tight-knit family, very close, will do anything for each other, but we don't know if that means jail time.
All right, Nancy Cox, I want to thank you so much for all your help. Erica's going to stick around. Still to come, why hasn't Tommy Ballard's murder been solved?
I will tell you, Your Honor, we're investigating the murder of Tommy Ballard that could potentially be related to this case.
Upon
Ponzi scheme and a deadly poisoning.
A former pharmacist already convicted in a federal fraud case
Now stands trial for the murder of her husband.
The financial crime gives rise to murder.
Did Natalie Cochran kill to cover up other crimes?
We're not here to obtain convictions. We're here to obtain the truth.
Now a jury will decide her fate, and Court TV will bring you every minute.
The Ponzi scheme murder trial. Live coverage begins this week, only on Court TV.
The person that did this to my daughter knew my husband was not stopping, and he would not have given up until my daughter was brought home.
Tommy Ballard was searching for his daughter, trying to figure out what happened to her. That was his mission. And he continued relentlessly until someone murdered him, shot him in the chest, killed him. And that ended his search. It's the other part of this story that makes it even more tragic, especially for Sherry Ballard. Right now, the FBI is seeking information. Take a look. They want to know. After his daughter, Crystal Rogers, disappeared in 2015, Tommy Ballard created Team Crystal, a group of Bardstown, Kentucky community members dedicated to finding Crystal and bringing her home. On the morning of November 19, 2016, 16 months after Crystal's disappearance, Ballard was preparing for a hunting trip with his 12-year-old grandson on family property next to Bluegrass Parkway in Bardstown, Kentucky. An unknown subject fired one shot and hit Ballard in the chest and instantly killed him. Which brings us to the next question in our investigation. It's about Tommy. Why hasn't Tommy Ballard's murder been solved? They made an arrest for the murder of his daughter, but no one's been implicated or charged in his murder. Joining me to help us through this, retired FBI special agent, expert in criminal investigations, Bobby Chacon, and still with us, private investigator Erica Morse. I have to play one more statement here. This is Shane Young, Hardin County Commonwealth's attorney, talking about a connection here. Let's listen.
I will tell you, Your Honor, we're investigating the murder of Tommy Ballard that could potentially be related to this case. We are waiting for testing to come back on the firearm we believe was used to murder Tommy Ballard, a firearm that we purchased from Nicholas Houck, who was using a fake name when he sold the rifle. We know it's the same caliber. There's 5 criteria that they're looking at, and so far it's matched 4 of the 5 criteria.
All right, Bobby Chacon, there's Nick Houck. He is the former police officer at this point, and you got the Commonwealth's attorney saying that he was using a fake name to sell a rifle that they believe is linked to Tommy Ballard's murder. Bobby Chacon, how much more do they need if, in fact, that's the murder weapon?
Well, boy, that's strong evidence, right? That's a strong piece of physical evidence if they do match the ballistics to the murder. And now you put that gun in his hands. You put the murder weapon in this police officer's hands that's already been implicated in other ways in this case, much softer ways, but other ways. This would be the strongest piece of physical evidence against him that they have. And if you join that with some of the other earlier implications of him in this crime, advising his brother, impeding the investigation, failing the polygraph, it starts to add up, and then now you have the murder weapon, in his hand, and that's probably could be the linchpin that causes them to charge him.
Erica Morse, I'm sitting here now, and Tommy Ballard's murder has not been solved, or there hasn't been an arrest. I'm wondering if there's any connection to what is happening in the buildup to the trial for the murder of Crystal Rogers.
It's all connected, Vinnie. The primary charge that we're dealing with here is not murder, it's conspiracy to commit murder. And I think what we could end up finding is a solution to Crystal's location, or resolution, I'm sorry, to Crystal's location at a similar time that we see these final ballistics come back. We already know it meets 4 of the 5 criteria. That's a very good sign. I know that this was the same caliber that was used to shoot Tommy, and I think if they are capable of wrapping all of this up in the next 90 days from a testing standpoint, we could see 4 men charged with 2 murders.
Bobby Chacon, the other thing about Tommy Ballard's murder, it seems like it was someone who was a good shot, right? It's just a single shot, takes him out, single shot to the chest.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of too. The only thing that tempers that a little bit is you're in hunting country, and so a lot of people are probably good with rifles there. But yes, certainly a one-shot kill is very consistent with somebody who is very good with weapons, very good, with a rifle. A police officer certainly would fit that description. They probably looked at his police training and whether he had rifle training with the police department, whether he was a hunter, what his scores were on his firearms test. All of that is recorded and it's maintained in the police department. So I'm sure they're going to find out. I'm sure they know already his skill level with a rifle, and that's another piece that they would add, into that whole mix of being ready to charge him with that. Yeah, I think they're just waiting. I think Eric is right. I think they were just waiting. Once they get that ballistic, once you put the murder weapon, confirm that it's a murder weapon, and you put it in his hands, with all the other things that you know about him up to this point, which are, you can say aren't that strong. Well, now you have a strong piece of physical evidence. You have the murder weapon in this guy's hands. I mean, that if you can't charge him then, I don't know what else you could wait for. He had motive, he had opportunity, and now he had the weapon.
Erica, I'm thinking about Sherry Ballard now and thinking of all that has happened to her, all that she has lost, and still all these years later, there is not justice yet. That's a tough spot she's in.
Always challenge me not to cry on this one, Vinny, because Sherry Ballard is probably the strongest woman I've ever seen, facing generational trauma, the loss of her daughter, the loss of her husband, the trauma of a grandchild witnessing the murder of her husband. This is just the most heartbreaking situation, and yet Sherry continues to carry herself with nothing but class and grace and maintain that hope that she can get justice for now, not just her daughter, but also her husband.
And when you say justice, I always say justice is the truth, and hopefully the truth comes out inside of a courtroom. Bobby Chacon, Erica Morse, thank you both. Great to see you. Appreciate your valuable time. Anytime someone claims a mother just got up and left her children behind to start some sort of a new life, I'm skeptical. If you want me to believe it, show me some evidence. Show me some proof of life, a photo, a receipt. Show me something that proves that she just got up and left. Because when there's nothing, it seems pretty clear to me that foul play is involved, and usually it's just straight up murder. And unfortunately, that's what it looks like in the case of Crystal Rogers. I'm Vinnie Politan. We'll keep digging for answers as the investigation continues.